You know they got that same name, but different point of views. Whichever one you choose, you can't lose. They got that same name, different point of views. Whichever one you choose, you can't lose. Keisha and Keisha, man.
Knowledge, wisdom, and discernment. Keisha, you don't got it, you can get some if you heard them.
Keisha and Keisha, man.
Knowledge, wisdom, and discernment.
Keisha
you don't got it, you can get some if you heard them. We gon' laugh, have a good time. Just sit back and elevate your mind.
Well, it is episode 13.
Lucky number 13?
Yeah, because some people think 13 is unlucky, and I'm going to tell you, after consistently trying to make this happen for 13 consecutive episodes, baby, we rolling. So 13 is definitely not an unlucky number.
All right. It's
All right.
how you see it.
It is definitely how you see it. It's been so much stuff going on in this world this week. Good Lord.
But first, we got a recap. Let's do it.
All right. Well, the BET Awards, we had Jason Mitchell from The Chi. That dude says 911 is for emergencies, not insecurities. Come on now.
It's sad that we have to say that. It's sad that we have to tell people it's for emergencies.
I mean, listen, you said that many episodes ago, and I keep coming back to that. I mean, we were just at an event where they were talking to Waffle House and the police department here in Fort Walton Beach about an incident that went national. And so, you know, just even in that, like the police was singing and dancing around stuff, and I'm just like, they just don't have any respect for African Americans, period.
Well, and I went back and watched the YouTube video because I only watched the end of it with the Waffle House incident here. So I decided to watch it from the beginning, and I had to stop. It was 22 minutes long. I had to stop in 8 minutes when she started screaming because they were not listening to her. And that was the whole point. They automatically assumed.
They did, and he
automatically assumed
the police
that the
chief admitted that
was stealing.
Yeah,
hadn't even got no food.
Right, and that was a couple of things they talked about that maybe you didn't know that they shared with us. So you can go back and watch the video. So real quick, that the officer actually knew the guy. So apparently the guy had him running with the law before, which had absolutely nothing to do with this incident.
Nothing.
And he never walked in and talked to the person who called the police first to figure out what was going on. He automatically jumped to 100, not realizing they hadn't ate any food. It was the go order. It was just so many things that were just done wrong. And for that police chief to originally come out with a Facebook post and say that his officers acted in the right way, and then have to come back during a town hall meeting and basically eat crow for all of that, I still don't have no respect for you, because you should have been thinking about that in the beginning. Even admitted in his 30 years of being on the force that he's had those kind of run-ins too, where he wasn't fair to people of color or whatever. And I'm thinking, this is our police chief. So just imagine how many around the world who are like that.
Well, and our thing is, I commend him for that, because the thing is, when you know better, you do better. So we got to remember that you can have a start, but if the change doesn't occur. And for him, I do commend him for saying that he did that before and that he could see that his officer was clearly wrong. But let's go back to the Waffle House employee. What the hell are you calling the police for? What?
Hey.
Why? For orange juice?
Wow.
And now the Waffle House manager did get up and say, this was ridiculous.
Yeah.
This man is spending money.
And not only did the Waffle House manager, it was a white woman that stood up and said, let me tell you something. If I would have said something about that orange juice, y'all would have automatically taken it off and there would have been nothing said about it.
And
that's the bottom line.
I commend her for saying that. Thank you, white woman. I don't know who you are, but you said it was all about color.
Yep.
It was all about color. And when we stopped, and that's, I got up and said that. Stop telling us that it's not about race.
Right. Right. And then there were other people that were saying that too. When you think about it, this one woman said, you never mention the word respect, and the fact that you don't have respect for people of color. Bottom line, period. That's the first thing you want to do is jump to the negative. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about race crap.
And then the young man, it was a young black man that got up and said that you spoke to him like a dog. He walked in and was like, come here, come here. And I saw it, and dude said, you better not put your hands on me. And he said he got it because dude said, you better not put your hands on me. Hell, that's how we feel. Yeah. Every black person is like, don't touch me, period. But
well,
go ahead.
It continues.
Yes, Jesus.
The white lady threatens to call the police on an 8-year-old selling water. I mean, we're Facebook friends with DL, not Facebook, Instagram friends with DL, and he was like, man, Facebook. But you know how you talked about, he was like, you can't be black and sell water. You can't be black and barbecue or sleep or, And he was saying how he lives in Calabasas and there's always some kid out selling lemonade or doing something else without a permit. So it's one of those things where it's like, come on, y'all.
Well,
with the babies. Like they called the police on the little boy because he he was mowing lawn for money. You seen
Yeah.
that? And he went over to the neighbors. No. He went over to he cut a little bit of the neighbor's grass by accident, and the neighbor called the police on him for cutting the grass.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what calling the police is. It's racist. I'm gonna call it what it is. You ain't afraid. You ain't trying to protect the law, because it ain't. Nobody broke the law in any of these instances. And for a woman to walk up to your child and ask her if she's got a permit, an 8-year-old know what a permit is. So I'm gonna say this. The more that we see Permit Patty and the rest of them, you're racist. And you could tell me you're not, but you ain't called the police on not one white child ever in your life.
Well, in continuing with that, the shooting death of the teen in Pittsburgh, that officer 3 times, in his face, in his arm, and then the fatal shot that happened in his back. And then the officer got out on bond, and then released a statement that says, I'm not going to defend myself to anyone except for God and the president judge. I don't know who the president judge is, but then he
45.
says, I'm very comfortable with what I did. If either side doesn't like it, they know what to do. And to think that he's comfortable with the fact that he shot this baby in the back 3 times.
Keisha, I'm going to tell you this.
He's comfortable. He used that word.
I'm trying to tell you, these people are comfortable. We are the ones that are uncomfortable. We're the ones who are offended. They're not offended. When they go out and shoot one of us, baby, they meant to shoot us. It wasn't an accident. It was on purpose. And until we realize that it is on purpose that they're doing this to us, no, they're not uncomfortable. His words didn't even offend me because I knew he was comfortable. I knew he felt like he was doing the right thing when it is clearly the wrong thing for anybody with sense. So I implore the world to understand that the racism that's happening here in America it's been happening for years, and now we're all able to see it up front. And for him to release that statement, I thank him for releasing it. Know why? Because it tells us what type of mindset these murderous people are.
And just, I mean, and like you said, the connection, and I guess I'm just so fed up with it, and it hurts my heart so bad that Black lives really don't matter. We talk about all of these other things about people, Blue Lives Matter, and this lives matter, all this kind of stuff. But on a consistent, I was talking to one of my girlfriends, literally, who is not Black yesterday, and she was just like, she's like, I have to be honest, when a lot of stuff first started happening, she says, I kept trying to isolate the incident to what it was. She was like, but it's becoming such a national problem. It's like that there's no human being that can look at what's going on and not realize that there is a problem. And I was like, and I applaud her for actually saying that to me, even though she's a great woman, and these are her honest opinions about it, but it's getting to the point where it's like you can't deny the truth.
It's because Black Americans have been tainted by the media.
Yeah.
They tell you if an officer shot a Black person, they did something wrong. And that's what they've been telling us for years. And now we're finding out with the videos and everything
Thank you, technology.
that they haven't done anything wrong.
Thank you, technology.
But, and the other part about that is knowing that you start out one way, and this guy that saying that he's comfortable and all this stuff, we got to realize that I know they're going to turn it and say it's mental illness, because that's what they do. They say they're mentally ill. No, he's not mentally ill. He's racist, and that's all he know. And don't put this on mentally ill people. 'Cause I know a bunch of mentally ill people that ain't shooting people.
Listen, and not only are the police and different things are happening, but we've been taught this Me Too movement with the women, but it's of course happening to men as well. And so Terry Crews testified before Congress as an advocate for sexual assault, and he said the culture of toxic masculinity, and that's true. I mean, you think about most of these police officers that are doing this are male. Most of them, masculinity itself has been, from the time a boy is little to grow up, man up, making them feel like they have to be aggressive and do all this kind of stuff. And then these same ones that's been bullied or whatever, then become police officers and return the favor onto people who are innocent. Yes. But for Terry Crews, he talks about it in respects to sexual assault, and he talks about his experience with sexual assault.
Well, I was going to add that to the masculinity, it's about power. Look at 45. It's about having power. And some of the things like Terry Crews was saying, this man felt like Terry wanted to work. He wanted to be an actor, so he's going to allow me to grab his genitals. See what I'm saying? It's like I can destroy your
50
career.
Cent was like tweeting against him. He was saying tweets against Terry Crews and him coming out
50
and talking
is
about.
I just want to go on record and tell y'all he makes me sick. He is the most vile Twitter thug next to 45. And the reason I say this is you don't have to come in on everything. Even if you don't have to come in on everything. But the other thing is he was actually really Terry because he's a big dude. It doesn't matter about size.
Right.
It doesn't matter. We're talking about powerful men when they know they got your career in their hands.
Correct.
And
Because
that's
when it comes down
do.
to it, as a black man, you can be cock diesel like Terry Crews is, and like I said, still be taken advantage of. So let's keep focus. Let's keep a focus on what was really going on, because that man could have control his future, how he fed his kids, or any of those type of things. You know what I'm saying? So it has nothing to do with how big he is or him kind of strecking this dude off. The fact that the dude did it, he's probably done it. If he's done it to Terry Crews, he's done it to a bunch of other people. So Terry Crews, we definitely, I want to give you the applaud button if I can find it on here. Here we go.
I want to add to that before we move on is that this is why people don't come out. This is why women don't come out. Right. Just imagine Terry Crews being the man he is. Imagine a smaller female against a powerful man in size and in theory, in the fact that he's got her career in his hands. But the thing that men don't come out and women don't come out because of people like 50 being ridiculed about telling your story.
Correct.
So even if you don't believe them, shut the hell up, 50. Shut the hell up. Keep your sorry ass opinion to your sorry ass.
Yes. So we're going to move on to what you know no good.
Child, I know 50 ain't no damn good.
What you know no good. We're gonna move on.
I ain't watching Power just for that, for your ass. Screw you.
I know you watching Power because you be all up in it. Okay, you boycott Power?
I'm already boycotting Power because of Tyreek. I can't stand his ass. I can't watch no more Tyreek.
Can't watch no more Tyreek?
I'm sorry, I'm done.
Okay.
I know it's me.
No, it's okay. Happy. Those are characters.
I'm happy.
And you, why you can't watch Tyreek no more?
Because he make me see whoever writing them story. I can't stand the fact they let this little boy be as dumb as he is. Nobody was watching Tyreek.
But you know what? But here's the deal, though. When you say that, like, that's the reality to half of these kids that people talk about in Chicago who are out here killing each other. That's the reality of a lot of these kids that they talk about in Compton and different areas where they were Tyreeks. I mean, like, even though...
No, they weren't. Tyreek is from a wealthy family. And I'm saying
their wealth came from... Wait now, their wealth came from drugs.
Yeah,
now let me just say this, though.
The separation.
Correct, but let me sit on a truth moment for me. You know, my family grew up in Chicago. I've had some uncles, my grandmother's brothers, who were really big in that life, okay? And they brought a lot of my cousins and stuff into that life, and it has definitely wreaked havoc in our family in that regard. And my uncle, he just passed away maybe about 3 or 4 months ago. And I remember being a kid and him influencing some of my cousins with that life. I mean, because when I say he used to get cars from Italy, and I sat in his car where they in gold and inscribed his name. I mean, just all this kind of stuff came from drug money, right? Right.
Is what I call it foolishness.
I got some cousins who were literally Tyreeks, like no joke.
No, not literally, because this is the difference. Tyreek's dad didn't bring him into the drug game. Everything. No, hold on. Okay. Everything that's happened
and
to
my cousin's dad didn't do it either.
No,
that ain't what happened.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. Tyreek wasn't brought into the drug game. Nobody
he was exposed to.
No, but this is what he didn't even know what his dad did.
Right.
Remember,
but
it was another man that came to him that that brought him in.
Right.
And telling him what his dad did. But so it's not the same because
it is because I'm trying to say. Okay, maybe I didn't give you all of the details of it, but what I'm saying, his dad and stuff was deep into it, and because of his dad's relationship with these other people, they tried to influence Tyreek to get revenge on his dad. It turned into a big story. But anyway, okay.
I'm gonna clear it up one more time. I'm saying the parents should have had somebody on Tyreek because you know what you're doing. They were letting Tyreek, they left him open to get exposed. Before all that happened, he had a man with him all the time.
Okay.
So he would, going to private school, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I can't stand him. I ain't watching it.
So let's talk about Mr. Noir.
Collian
Noir. He's an attorney, an African-American gun rights activist, and member of the NRA, and he hosts an NRA freestyle website series called Noir Gun. I viewed his YouTube, and he had this one video on how to stop school shootings, and basically he's a Trump supporter and voted for him, and he thinks that we have the right to feel safe, and that he feels like teachers should be armed, and he feels that
go back. He said we think we have a right to feel safe, and we don't. We don't have the right to feel safe. That's
okay,
what he said.
all right, okay, yeah. So he's saying that, you know, let's stop with this kumbaya moment that we're going to ban all these guns and live in this wonderful society when you have bad people, and bad people are going to find ways to prepare themselves, get guns, fight against gun laws, be able to, you know, do the things they do in schools. And if we would stop doing that and put metal detectors, you know, guard the doors more, arm the teachers so that it can be a deterrent for people who are trying to do that instead of just keep sitting like lion ducks, waiting for them to come and do these things ourselves. So.
Okay, so let me weigh in to this damn fool. And I'm sorry, I know Keisha is like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I watched him. He is one of the reasons why I feel like people with sense need to speak up, because most of what he's saying is so untrue and so wrong that nobody's really giving him the hard facts. Number one, nobody's saying take away guns. That's have never been the narrative, to take away guns. Everyone's advocated for gun control. And me and you have sat here and said mentally ill people do not need to have guns. So we need better gun laws. So I'm gonna say this to you, Mr. Noir, whatever your name is. Australia had one massive gun shooting. They banned assault weapons and have not had another one in over 30 years. That, sir, never said that they got rid of all guns. So we need to stop talking about getting rid of people's guns and arming the schools and all this other stuff. All we said was get rid of their assault weapons. There is no reason for any human being in America.
Now let me say this, because that was his whole point. He was saying that we're not educating ourselves on guns because 95% of them are assault rifles, because they can be automatic and they can, you know, fire off some rounds or whatever. And he was saying like the AR-15, I mean, just the miseducation of it. So I agree with the education part of it, that he says let's educate ourselves on guns and realize it. But at the same time, that means we got to come to the table with both views. We got to say, okay, if we're going to keep guns in America and not this whole Second Amendment and just all of this stuff, hold on.
No, don't say keep guns. Nobody's taking guns away.
I get it. Well, I mean,
nobody's taking them.
But that might, I mean, I'm just saying we don't know what the answer could be. I'm just saying if the thing is that we're going to continue with this whole thing that you can buy and own and possess a gun, then we need to sit down and decide as a nation what guns and what are the purposes for them, and decide which ones we feel perpetrate these type of mass shootings.
But and I'm gonna go further, because another thing about this damn fool that I meant to say is you are a spokesperson for the NRA. The NRA wants to sell guns. This is why I get really pissed off with you, because all they want to do is sell guns. They don't give a damn about who buying them. They don't give a damn for what their use is for. What you just mentioned, the NRA don't give a damn.
Right.
They make money. They make money off people. They make money off people buying guns.
Right.
America is 4% of the population, but America owns half the guns in the world. What does that tell you? Most people in America would spend their money on a gun before they would education, before they would food, before they would shelter. That means they're spending a whole, and a lot of them say, I want to protect myself.
Well, let me tell you something, Keisha. I'm going to be very honest with you. When we went to the gun range with Carlos, right? And you got a little upset about it because of just, I guess, the climate, and it just kind of made you a little nervous, and you didn't want to shoot, but that didn't bother me one bit. Like, it actually made me a little more aggressive towards owning my own gun, because I just feel like at this point, I've always, you know, growing up in Chicago and being around, like I said, a lot of bad, you know, just a lot, seeing a lot of stuff. I've always a proponent, like, don't have guns, blah, 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 blah. But now I'm thinking, you know, just with the state of our country, I mean, just with a lot of stuff that I feel like just in protecting myself. So I get that part. And I am going to take the class. I plan to, you know, buy a gun for myself this year. But the bottom line is, it still needs to be a conversation. Go ahead and give yourself the applause, because what I want you to understand is nobody's saying you can't own a gun. Right. Nobody's saying that. But I'm saying the conversation. The conversation needs to happen about which ones we're not going to allow.
And I agree with that.
Because that's what you're saying. Because that's what happened no.
I'm talking about this man. What his conversation is, not our conversation. Nothing wrong with you wanting a gun. I don't want one. I beat the hell out of you with a bat. Like I told you, I just felt very uncomfortable with with the little kids shooting guns. I felt very uncomfortable with them having assault weapons. There is no reason for nobody to shoot any of that for no reason, what they had at that gun range. And what I'm saying to Mr. Noir, with his dumb ass being the stupid ass for the NRA, and I'm saying this to you, is that they're trying to sell guns. And they're using your dumb ass to do it. And you're actually bringing people in and talking about you don't have the right to be, feel safe. That's a goddamn lie. You do have the right to feel safe. I have the right to feel safe wherever I am. That is a lie, what you're telling people. Keisha, you can own a gun, I can own a gun. America never said you couldn't own a gun. We're saying gun rights ought to be in place to save our kids, and metal detectors and arming people is not the way to do it. That only gives the NRA more money. We need to get your ass out the NRA.
Well, but okay, so the only debate I have about the last comment that you made about the metal detectors and arming our teachers and stuff is the fact that I do believe that with the right to still own a gun, there's still going to be people who hold grudges, people who have issues, people who are just bad people who are going to use these guns in a negative way. And so in trying to figure out a way to keep schools safe, that's what I really want to sit down and have a conversation about. Because as an educator and having educator friends and how I love these children, sometimes even going into the building where I work, I feel like they're like, man, because the kids will go and push the door open in a minute and let somebody in and not even know what's going on. And so I think that needs to get better, because at one point, when I was growing up, school was a safe zone. I mean, even gangs. I mean, growing up in the city, you didn't go.
Wait a minute. Well, were guns not invented when you were growing up?
No, yeah.
Tell me, what's the difference? Guns have always been around.
Right, but
so what's the difference?
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
What's the difference? They took the ban off assault weapons. That's the difference. You can walk into school with a handgun. You're not going to get off as many rounds as you will with an assault weapon.
Well, and like I said, when I was in school, there was no, I went back to visit. They now have the metal detectors at the school and stuff like that, but they didn't. And it was a safe zone. I mean, there was one time the SAs came through. It was a gang in Chicago.
But it was a safe zone without the metal detectors.
They surrounded our school. They had like 8 minivans with dogs. They had guns and everything, and they wanted one dude to come out. It's like, we ain't trying to hurt nobody else. And so out of the respect for that, we got locked down in the school, and we were like, the one dude who they wanted, of course they wasn't going to send him out, right? So then the police came and turned to this big thing. They ended up speeding off people, whatever. But at that moment, school was just a safe place to be, and now it's not anymore, and that's the problem that I'm having.
That's what we're talking about. Just gave you the statistics with Australia. When they banned the assault weapons, they had not had
I did this. Me and my kids did this article, and we did a research, and they wrote papers on it. So trust me, I'm 100% know what you're talking about.
But I'm talking to the man, Colin Noir, where he's saying that let the teachers have guns. That's not the answer. Because let me tell you, since they had that debate, how many people have gotten shot accidentally? Because and guns have went off in classroom with teachers having guns on them. Let's talk about that. That is insane.
Well, it's the same thing happened with the resource officer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
don't forget the FBI who flipped at that party. Okay, I'm sorry, that was something.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The thing is, gun has been a part of America forever. We're not saying get rid of guns. We need to stop letting people turn it that way.
Yeah.
We're not saying that. We're saying that responsible, trained gun owners should have guns. But if you're not responsible and you're not trained, and nobody needs military grade guns for nothing.
All right, so we're gonna move on. So Serena, she had a baby. She went on maternity leave.
We can't move
on.
So
of course she
we can't move on.
Why?
Maryland. It was another shooting in Maryland at the Gazette. I know. I want to mention it because it happened this week.
Ahead.
And it was this guy. He was a single gunman. He went in there with a whole plan of who he wanted to shoot. He actually had a lawsuit against the Gazette. He lost it. And
because he was stalking some girl and got embarrassed because they put it in the newspaper. But I mean, the same thing. He went in there, killed these people. They walked his butt right up out of there and took him to jail. He's still refusing to talk. He was hiding up under the desk when they came and got him. They were able, these people were killed or whatever. But
so what does that tell you? He was not what?
What?
What does that tell you if they walked him up out of there? He was not what?
I don't know.
Black.
Oh.
A black man would have been dead.
No.
That's what it tells.
Okay.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
He was white.
So let's talk. Serena, she had a baby, and so she has not been able to play as many games and win as many tournaments. And so she was worried about her her
Ranking,
spot,
yeah, her
ranking in the,
seating.
for the U.S. Open. And so they seated her at 25, and it's been this big controversy. But the part of it is that should she be penalized because she went off and had a baby? Y'all know how amazing this woman is, and she probably can beat up to the 23rd or 24th person, and get past all of them, which she probably will do. So she bumped some people out of their ranking, and of course that side is mad because they was like, well, how when I've worked all this year doing this, and she's worked for a whole career with that. So let's have some respect.
I'm gonna tell you what Serena knows.
And hands up to the people of the U.S. Open for respecting the fact that she was a mom and she wanted to have a baby.
I know that you're thinking it's about mom, but I've been following Serena and Venus and tennis for a long time.
That particular incident
No, it's race.
I know, but hold on. I get.
Let me just say my point, and then you come back. These people, Serena's had to fight the whole time in tennis, and everything that's ever happened to her is been because of her color, and that she's been whooping ass left and right. And I wanted to just mention that being a black woman, and we've always got to be 20 times better.
I know, but that's just that's an issue for African Americans.
You're going to drop her lower in seating after she had a baby. It's just, you're
right.
wrong.
And that was the whole thing. And I'm just standing up for women who, in the workforce, who
Yes.
want to step down and take a year off and have a baby or be there with their children. That's your right to be able to have that seat, because she probably birthed the next famous tennis star. So
it's like,
it's almost like when you were talking about her husband and that interview guy who said whatever. It's just a thing that I feel like for women, now just as a woman issue, that a lot of times, you want us to be this woman, want us to be this wife, this mother, this whole thing, and then have a career, but then we're always having to make choices that's not advantageous to us. And my whole deal is having a baby should have some advantages to it. And y'all know she can whoop half them people who above her, even right now, that are seated higher than her.
That's why they
get your
want her
life.
to be seated lower, because they know her abilities.
Wait, somebody probably thought, man, Serena won't get seated, and maybe I might actually win this thing.
Yeah, and guess what?
Get your life.
Get your life.
All
Work
right,
harder.
so
Work like
this,
Serena.
Former ICE Immigration and Customs Enforcement Chief Lawyer.
Rafael Sanchez. Yeah, and this is why I tell you government is crooked. And I mean, at certain areas. He was the lawyer for ICE, for the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And he got these people deported, then stole their identities and created fake credit cards and ran up bills totaling $190,000. Let me tell you, when they steal big, while they worrying about food stamps and
what they call them, white collar crime?
No,
and how many years did he get? He got 4 years for that?
He got 4 years.
Get out. He gonna do a year and a half in a federal penitentiary eating steak and on Facebook doing all he gonna do, and he gonna get out and keep it moving and probably get another job back with ICE when he get out. Let's talk about it for real. And so this is just another way that he's taking advantage of people of color. And shame on you, Raphael, because you're a person of color in doing this.
Get him
shame
one of them damn sounds.
Shame on you.
Womp womp.
Yeah, shame on you. Talk about it.
Yeah, bye, Raphael Sanchez.
Trying to get some money. Shame on you, Raphael. All right, let's talk about some politics and news.
Let's talk about Florida. Why Florida? I hate our mood here. I should be an Alabamian forever.
Really, Alabamian? That we acting like Alabama be standing up.
Look,
come on now, quit tripping.
Florida, y'all make me sick. Y'all are the South. Oh my goodness. So Pam Bondi, the Attorney General for Florida, was accosted at a movie theater in Tampa for her vote on pre-existing health care conditions. If you have never, and I know everybody have, the pre-existing healthcare condition is nothing but for the insurance company. It does not benefit people who are paying for insurance to have the insurance company say, I'm not going to pay for that.
Let me tell you something. First thing is, insurance companies are pimps. Let's just start that from the very beginning. They've been pimping people for years. They've been taking billions of dollars for years because they know that 1% that they need to influence and feed into their campaigns and do all this kind of stuff. So they lobby for that 1% to support them, and then they make all this money off of the middle and the low man. And so they've been pimps for years, pimping us. And now that we're trying to stand up and and do something different and to stand up for ourselves and say, hey, enough is enough. Now everybody wants to be all upset about it. So Pam Bondi money, you need to watch what you're doing, because as a representative for the people of the state of Florida, you need to make decisions that's going to represent the people of the state of Florida, not 1 or 2%, but the majority. So it is what it is. And Maxine Waters, of course, you know, in her 70s, and she's been a political activist for years, and she spoke up and says that you probably do need to call some media. When you see them out in the public, stand up and be like, why are you doing this, or why are you doing that? And everybody got all upset. And of course the Republicans got all upset about it. And it was all, girl, you grabbed my hand. Keisha, oh, you made me lose my train of thought. Go ahead.
I gotta speak on this Maxine.
Wait, before you say that, I have
I'm
problems with one of my hair. As she grabbed that hand, Jesus. Okay, go ahead, say it.
Oh, my baby, see the Keisha, I'm sorry. Maxine, so it's been controversy, and I saw the Democrats all trying to throw Maxine under the bus. This is why Democrats, now you have probably never heard me say nothing about Democrats, but I'm about to go in on them now. You weak links, you are the weakest link. You don't stand up for stuff. For one, she never said to harass anyone. She never said to harm anyone. These are public officials, and public officials can be talked to when they're on the street. I was a public official once. You don't have a private life when you're a public official. Everything you do is for the government. And if I don't like something you did, I can tell you I don't like it. When I worked for the city, honey, people would come up to me at the grocery store and be like, can you get my garbage picked up? And I had to write down a note because I'm a servant. When you're a public official, you serve us.
But that's where the thing has changed. Just like you talked about the people who are making all the money. It used to be that way. What it's turned into now is that we're electing you so that you can continue to serve that little 1% so you can keep your hands greased, and then you taking advantage of us. It's all confused. We need to sit down with the job descriptions again and let everybody understand what their job is. No, seriously, because people don't know what their job is.
I agree with you. What I'm saying, no, not just sit down. We are the 99%. So we have the right to accost you wherever you are, because the 1% been accosting you and put line in your pockets to fight for them. So who's going to fight for us?
Okay, so you're trying to say that when they come to you and you're a public official and the insurance companies and those who are lobbying and they stay in your face trying to do whatever,
and you smiling.
Right, because it's greasing your pockets, that's one thing. But when you got the person who you are taking advantage of and who's getting the brunt of all these decisions you're making, when we come and say something to you, that's wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's not wrong.
No, I'm saying, but
that's what they're saying. And I'm telling you, Maxine Waters, the advice she gave is what we need to do. We need to stop letting public officials think that they got a private life. No, you don't. You work for us, and we need to stop acting like they don't work for us. Let me tell you about the 1%. The 1% know they work for them. And they got a phone call.
Well, I know
right
one
to
chick
them.
that's going to stand up to all of them is that Alexandria
Ocasio-Cortez.
She is 28 years old, a Latina, and she's running for her first campaign, ousted 10-year incumbent
Joe Crowley.
Yes, what? And Joe was seated to take old girl's place.
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, but guess what, baby? She was like, I think we need to have Medicare for all, free tuition, and legalize marijuana. And on top of that, federal jobs with the minimum wage of $15 and abolish ICE. Come on, Miss Alexandria.
She talking what we talking, so she considered herself a democratic socialist. And the thing that they tried to do about her, about negativity, is that she's a bartender. But what they don't know is she graduated from Boston University.
Come on with it.
A degree in not necessarily politics, but in
Let me tell you something. Can I stop you for one quick
Yes.
second? Don't talk to me about this woman's profession or her education unless you're going to talk about our president and his profession and his education. So get out my face with that crap. So since we now want to just elect people that don't have any experience and can get up here and say all kind of crazy stuff, I say stand up. All you 28-year-old millennials, and I promise you I'm going to vote for every last one of you, and everybody need to do that so that Congress is looking a little more diverse, a lot younger, and we can get some stuff done. Stand up. Look, my baby, he 18. Can he run for something, baby?
Yes,
What? Let's do this. What?
But let me add to Alexandria is that the Democratic Party put all their money, they put millions behind Crowley.
And didn't mean nothing.
It ain't about money, because she had $300,000 she said. And she said towards the end, before the voting came, she got a little bit more money, but she went door to door. She fought. And
Grassroots, bottom line.
It ain't, and we need to take money out of politics.
Well, when you think about this,
money out of
when
politics.
President Obama ran the first time, he didn't have as much money as his opponents, and he still run on the change. People want to see that. So look at this. Between social media, all the millions of hits you can hit with Cardi B and all these other little things, you guys need to start hitting some of these people who are running, because you about to see a lot of folks come out who are younger, who are more progressive, who are more socialist and all that are running for these offices. And you young millennials who can vote, baby, get behind them.
And then the point that I'm so excited about this chick. I'm almost about to lose my. The other point about being a bartender and all this stuff they were saying, baby, that means she worked. She know what we all need. And see, let me tell you, Trump ain't never did no hard work, never. So he don't know what we need. He actually think $10,000 is chump change.
Let me tell you something.
This chick know that it worked. It takes a whole lot for us at the bottom to get 10,000.
Well, the Supreme Court ruled on Wednesday that public sector unions for the state and local employees can't force non-members to pay a fair share of the union fees. Now, I used to be a union as a teacher, and one thing I got out of it, because it's like $50 a month, and at the time, I mean, that's a lot when you're a teacher, a young teacher, trying to pay $50 out your check for something. But they negotiate a lot of the contracts for our raises and stuff like that. So they're saying since they're working for all the teachers, even though they're representing their few, then it should be fair share. And the Supreme Court said, no, people should have an option whether or not they want to be a part of the union. We appreciate the work you're doing, but no go. So.
Wow.
All right.
So when they get to negotiating, they need to cut out the non-members. Y'all stay back there where you are. No, I'm saying that. I mean, is that a fair share?
What, for them to negotiate just for the ones who are members?
Yeah.
Well, see, I think it's against the law. It's almost like, for example, they have now where they were trying to recruit teachers into the education system. So they said if you scored a certain amount on your SATs, we'll give you a bonus to come and be a teacher. Well, with that, the teachers were like, hey, if you're going to say that, no matter if I'm a new teacher or not, you got to give it to all of us. So then they had a point where you can go back in my butt since 1988, 89, going to get my SAT scores, because I scored high on mine to get a bonus. I mean, but it's just one of those things where I feel like even without them, unnecessarily a union, the teachers, like, we can't strike in the state of Florida at all. We can't.
Y'all need better government.
Well, and so that's what I'm saying. But the union did that, and that was, and you see what I'm saying. So all the non-members, but I'm about to say all the non-members are now had to bear the brunt of that. Yeah. Because that was something. So the good and the bad. You feel me? So as a result of them doing that, people who are non-members to the union got penalized with that. So I mean, size.
Yeah, and it's the negotiation, because I can tell you, even though you can't strike, that means they struck a deal with something else.
The union did it. And
no,
so
I'm saying
okay.
I'm saying they got you something else. That it's a compromise. They ain't get you nothing else. They ain't get no better pay, no nothing.
Let me tell you, girl, we ain't even gonna go down now. Okay, so a Georgia mom was sentenced to 20 years.
Disclaimer: this sucks. This what you about to say? Go ahead, tell them.
Okay, her name is Morgan Summerlin. She's 25 years old. She was sentenced to 20 years for allowing men to rape her young daughters, 5 and 6 year old. One man is 78 years old, and he gave the girls $100 and the mom drugs. The grandmother was found guilty for knowing and not doing anything to protect the children.
The question I have is, who advocates for our kids if the parents aren't advocating for the kids?
Right. And I will tell you this. I was a social worker for a number of years in Chicago, and I was telling Keisha when she brought this story up that I lived a number of situations like this. I used to go on calls, of course, to with DCFS to remove children, and I had to take kids into custody, and this happens a lot. There was a mother who literally would put her kids in cars and let these old men drive around to the alley and do whatever to her children, come back, give her money, and was doing this. And there was a woman in the building that reported it. We staked out and found out that's what she was doing. And this woman tried to run at me, and I promise you I was going to lose my job that day because she was yelling and screaming about these being her kids and stuff. So there are a number of unfit parents, and every day in my prayers I ask God to protect these children, because you know what, to be honest with you, that's the one thing that when I say will get my goat, is when I see people taking advantage of children. I don't care. I mean, some people feel that way about elderly, some people feel that way about hosts, some people feel that way, but that's what me and kids is. I feel like they came into this world and God gave them to you, and you were supposed to raise them and protect them and love and care for them. And when you, as their primary parent, don't do that, oh man, I can't. But
I just want to know why the hell she didn't lay up with the 78-year-old.
Right. That was the same thing I said 20 years ago to that same lady. That was
why
about
the hell
20 years
you
ago
didn't get in the car with them, huh?
All right.
And these 5 and 6 year old daughters, we really gotta do better. If you see something, say something.
Yeah. The Supreme Court Justice Kennedy is retiring. Oh, God. And so it's a whole controversy about Trump and his pro-life and overturning Roe versus Wade, the death penalty, affirmative action, because at the University of Texas, they, was saying that they don't feel like affirmative action is fair. And so you can just imagine just the fallout that's going to happen with the overturning of a lot of this stuff, because those same attorneys got those same cases just as strong, going to come hit them back at them, and now the decisions are going to be overturned. And I just feel like...
I don't know what that is, Beepin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let me tell you what's gonna happen. The Democrats, so before Barack Obama left office, the Republicans refused, Mitch McConnell refused to give Obama the that to nominate a Supreme Court justice. He set a precedent then, so now Democrats hold him to that that precedent he set, because what we need to do now is not allow Trump to nominate anyone, because they said it was an election year and we need to let the people decide. It's an election year now, and we need to let the people decide. So Trump, don't you nominate nobody, because Mitch McConnell has set the bar. So we're going to hold you to that, and every Democrat should hold them to that. No one should allow them to even think about nominating someone until we get our Democrats in office in November.
We're going to talk about a little pop culture. We got Joe Jackson died at 89 years old. And I just want to say this, like, people have been putting up all these little things about Michael saying Joe headed to heaven and whooping him and all this kind of stuff. I want to tell you, being young, this man, and here's where I want to say where he got a bad rap with. And I'm not saying he didn't whoop them, and because, hey, as children, sometimes you get a spanking or do whatever. He didn't treat them bad or whatever. But I think in his mind, he was trying to protect his children. He saw the strengths that they had with this entertainment business. He worked hard for it. You never hear of him abusing his wife or doing anything. So usually when a guy is that aggressive and doing all that kind of stuff, generally it's the whole family. So you can tell it was his way of discipline. It may not have been the most effective, way that everybody think.
Honestly, I think the way Joe Jackson handled the kids and all of that, it's the way a lot of our black families handled the kids back then. Because it was exposed on a national level, that people were so odd. But I was like, yeah, we all got whoopings. But he got a bad rap, but he made them so successful. He really did. I mean, and when they tell how he worked in the steel mill, came home, and then he practiced with
three
them.
jobs. So he probably came home full of children and was probably was tired. And I'm not giving necessarily him excuses on that.
No
but what I am saying is that for him, the father's disciplinarian. He's the one that was probably doing all that, and he probably made some horrible decisions with certain things, but in his mind, he probably thought he was doing the best for his family. So shout out to Joe.
He was successful, and the same with Tiger Woods' dad, and the same with the Williams sisters. Everybody that looked at those, they all had strong black men behind them.
Yeah.
And
so T.I. is boycotting the NFL. Jay-Z said he won't perform at their halftime. The NFL, my husband is a big football fan, and when that season comes, I find myself giving up more of my time to the NFL. But I do believe that it's something that needs to be done. And the NFL, with their decisions and the stuff that they're doing, you got to stop lying down. So I appreciate that.
I feel like the players need to boycott, white and black. I think everybody needs to shut it down.
Girl,
until everybody got rights. You can't tell me I don't have rights.
Girl, so Cardi B is already married.
And what we said
he gave it away at the BET Awards when he talked about his wifey.
Well, let me tell y'all this. What we talked about, keeping your off the internet, let's do that. And that's what they did. They went on and got married. You don't need all that extra stuff.
No.
And T.I. said it's either for show or it's your ego.
Well, she donated $8,000 to the 15-year-old boy who was brutally slain in New York. He was attacked with machetes and knives. And so did Lala. Me and Lala's birthday on the same day. Shout out Lala.
Ooh,
but she did the same thing. And her son loved Carmelo, so they went and visited him and did some stuff or whatever. We want to bring to justice for Junior these people who did this to him, and stop watching those videos with that. I mean, that assault was horrible.
I'm not watching that. You watch what you want. I'm not interested. But one of the things about this is that the girlfriend of the dude who actually did the sex video set this young guy up. This young guy had wrote a letter to the mayor in Bronx or whoever, asking to work with her. and she had him under his wing. So the boy that got killed wanted to be a police officer. He was already trying to figure out how to get into that. And it's like you took a great kid away that could have made the police force better with this stupidness.
Yeah.
So she protected her boyfriend by giving her gang member folks this dude's information, and they do look alike.
Instead of the guy who
and
really
they did
did
look alike.
That's just crazy.
And that
so
just
she's
tell
gonna
you
live with that for the
gangs
rest
are
of her life.
ridiculous.
And see this. Oh Jesus! All right. So rapper C Murder, Corey Miller was featured on ID Channel. You were watching
and
that.
that's Master P's little brother.
Yeah, he was sentenced to life, and then it comes out that, of course, through police coercion and corruption and stuff, a lot of the stuff that they're saying happened didn't happen. So I hope through all of that, that they really find a way to get that situated with him. Because
Well,
I mean,
and
when you
then
have
it's
to go,
another brother that's being railroaded by the system and one of the things that they were saying is the police officer is that he was a rapper and he's rich and had money. So they just went against him under all costs, and they did a lot of coercion and flipping witnesses. And
you know what? And here's the deal with police and attorneys and stuff when they're trying to prove a case. I was watching. I don't know. They've had this little docuseries with this woman who they're accusing of killing her 2 young kids, and they showed a jury member and just how you can coerce a jury, because in there they talked about how the woman had gotten a boob job and she was spending all this money on jewelry and doing all this kind of stuff, and so they were attacking her character as a mother and trying to justify that for the reason why she would kill her kids. And so they even said, well, they tried to borrow $5,000 from the bank and it denied them. They had all these trouble, and then it turns out that the boy's insurance policy was $5,000. They was like, well, do you know how much the funeral cost? It was $10,000. So what money were they going to make off a $5,000 policy? But it was just the whole point of, after hearing this juror, she says, yeah, well, what kind of mother would go out and get a boob job done? And it was just one of those things where it was like, when you attack people's character in that way and how it influences people. And I feel like that's exactly what Trump has been doing his entire presidency, is attacking the American people and our character and making us feel stupid. And he's been
exposing
successful.
some characters. How about that? He's exposing a few. But with Corey Miller, his rapper name is C Murder. So it's already negative for him.
But you know what? Who also said that? Snoop Dogg. They were asking him about when he had that case against him, and he says, you know what? I thought about how I bought a lot of that stuff onto myself. He says, because a lot of the things that I was rapping about and a lot of stuff, he says, that really weren't things that I was necessarily going through then or whatever. But he was like, when I go back and listen to my album right before all the stuff happened, all the stuff I was rapping about, I almost bought it to myself. He was like, so even with the rappers, he's like, you guys need to watch what you're saying and what things you're bringing towards yourself.
Snoop.
Well,
I don't agree.
I agree with that, because I think whatever you believe you are.
Well, let me finish.
Comes to fruition.
Let me finish why I don't agree. It's entertainment. And I speak to my kids about, and I've been doing it since they were young. This is entertainment. You got to separate reality from entertainment.
I get it, but you also got to speak live.
No, I'm saying that's what I tell them. And we need to stop acting like because somebody's name is C Murder, they're a murderer. No, this is entertainment. And
I'm not saying about other people's impression. I'm talking about his own self thing. You know what I'm saying? And just saying this, with him naming himself that, and the type of things that you speak, like every time I talk to DJ, I never get off the phone without saying BSE, and BSE is best son ever. And he goes, BME. We say this all the time. I always make sure before I get off the phone, I say something affirmative to him, because that's what last thing he's going to hear, those are things he's going to believe. So when he's out here making decisions for himself, he's thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't let other people come into his life and speak negative stuff.
His job is to entertain people. Snoop Dogg. His job is to entertain people.
Well, I mean, that was his reality.
And what we have to stop realizing is rappers are not where we get our education and all that stuff. It's entertainment. So let's move on to the
But I do think that a lot of the way that these rappers are, the things that they're talking about, very misogynistic, and some of the things that they say has when the kids are sitting there and they're constantly listening to these same things over and over again, they become a little less sensitive to those situations. So to call some girl out her name or do whatever.
I don't disagree with that, but what I can say is you don't have to listen to it. That was one of my things about freedom of speech when they were saying fuck the police and all this stuff. Guess what? If you don't like it, turn it off.
Yeah. All right, so beef between Lee Daniels and Damon Dash. Damon Dash accosted him on this stage. He was overseas and he came at him like, look, I lent you $2 million when nobody. $2 million. He was like, when nobody. I let you do Precious because of my not one big movie producer, nobody would give you money. I gave you $2 million of my own money, and you wouldn't even invite me to the premiere of the movie I gave you money to make. And then after all this time, you've made all these other TV shows, these movies and everything, and you still owe me. Why I got to go to some white attorney and have him come to another brother who I lent this money to? I mean, he was like, come on, man.
Why we got to go through the
Why we got to go through this?
Lee
and you
Daniels,
know you owe me money.
Lee Daniels, we don't have donkey of the day, but you the jackass of the day.
God, dog, Lee, you done did, that was just woo, woo, woo.
Look, and guess
Shame
what?
on you, Lee.
I believe Monique.
I'm like, right, because she has, I mean, come on, Lee, you can't be that dirty.
Look,
I mean, be that kind of brother.
Hey,
Shame on you.
I implore you guys to go to YouTube and look it up.
Oh, my God.
Try to whisper in David
Yeah.
Dash ear. David like, get out of my ear with that mess. I done
he can't.
gave you $2 million. What you talking about?
Right.
You ain't gave me my money back.
Right.
What type
and
of
Lee all
no-life
trying to get
are
his
you?
hands crossed, trying to keep it down, because he knew if he would have got buck with him, but he knew he owed him that money. And that's a shame that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to help you come up. I'm believing in your dream.
Why he
and you don't even, that's
$500,000 a year?
how you are
know how
a low down dirty dog, Lee Daniel.
You know how long ago Precious was shot?
Yes, and how
It's-
much stuff he's done in between
And
that time.
I'm like, and you couldn't get his brother his $2
Half
million
of
back?
it by now?
And that's what I'm saying, $500,000 a year?
Come on, man.
$250,000 a year, you would have paid it out by now.
Look, do you hear me? That's crazy.
No,
and I
that's-
mean, Damon, I'm all on you, bro. I'm 100%
Listen,
behind
and I
you
like
on
the
that
way
one.
Damon went up to him, because I'm going to tell you
He's
this.
like, go out there and tell them people that. Tell them how you didn't pay me my money. He said, you want to talk about something? Go out and tell them. I mean, he was pissed.
Ooh,
Okay.
and you can
So
see
let's
it. Go
talk
watch
about
it.
what's black a lacking.
Whew, our history in this country. We have been enslaved. We have mass incarceration. And we need to have a seat and a voice at the table. Because in looking at this new administration and his cabinet, we're looking at nobody that could stand up for us. Ben Carson, no. Omarosa, no.
Girl, my cousin came down here and his speech was, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
You on the
and I'm going to
menu.
tell you, we've been on the menu for way too long, black people. And speaking about menus, think about this. They were talking about tipping at restaurants and how it has a racist past. And back in the day, after slavery ended, after the Civil War, black people were out looking for work. So white people didn't want to give them any jobs that were skilled. So they considered them for unskilled jobs. And what did? You wait tables, you waited on white people. And so they became the waiters and stuff, and they used the tips to attract them as workers and then didn't pay them a wage. So the only money they made were on tips. So they were like begging again for somebody to take care of them.
Yes,
Right.
And
so,
yes, you beautiful. Yes,
Yes.
you right. Yes,
and what's crazy is that when you look at that now, I mean, it has not changed. And I mean, even though the faces have changed and you have everybody who's out here waiting or whatever, minimum wage is still the same in a number of southern states, $2.13 an hour. And then you don't even want to tip the people. You go out, you have dinner, you enjoy yourself. And even if they give you okay service or whatever, pay them they 10 or 20%. That's what's making, I mean, they barely getting it together, you know?
I say 15%.
I normally do, 20%. Mhm.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling Keisha. If it's okay service, I do 15%. But if it's great service, I just go above and beyond.
But never go below that. You know what I'm saying? And the
Never go
bottom line
below
is
15.
you can talk to them about how you feeling about something or talk to the manager or whatever, but pay those people, because God only rewards those who do the right thing. But on top of that, think about the idea of why this even came about. Like, I mean, if you think about, like you saying that whole yes master, whatever,
It's the slavery,
only way I'm
yeah.
going to make some money is if I walk around here and kiss your butt.
And kiss your tail for what?
All right, to be or not to be. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this word, but I was watching.
You asked me.
I did.
And then I went and watched the movie. I said,
Yeah.
that's where she got it
Yeah,
from.
it's called Set It Up on Netflix.
Set Up.
And did you know what a merkin is?
No, but now I do.
A merkin is an artificial covering of hair of the pubic area. So people put wigs on their pubes. So what happened
On
originally
their
was
private
that
part.
prostitutes would shave off all their, genital hair or whatever, and then they would decorate it with these little wigs as an erotic way to, I guess, arouse the people who would come, to for their services.
And I guess porn stars or whoever, because
Yeah,
you can see in
was
the
doing it
film
too, yeah.
industry,
So-
and both men and women do it.
And it's Merkin, Merkin. Look it up if you don't believe us. But
Hey, guess what? Don't tell
Keisha was
me
like-
City Keisha and Country Keisha ain't educating y'all.
Yes.
We giving y'all new stuff every week.
Public wig, pubic wigs. What's up to the okay? So anyway, and then look, all these
Relationship.
sisters out here and women out here with these wigs and doing all this stuff,
and
baby. We
so-
might need to tap into that business. We might be able to make some money off of.
Girl, I ain't buying them.
All right, dear daughter-in-law.
No.
Future
Are we
daughter-in-law.
focused on
Okay,
our
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
significant others?
Okay.
So we're talking about being focused in your relationship. Does that make a in a relationship? Are you
Yes.
focused when you look at your partner and you go, what does he need today, or what makes him? What's going on with him? Are we doing that?
But I give a shout out to Stephanie Walthour because, I mean, she's opening up in Georgia, in Douglasville, Georgia, a center called the Intimacy Center. And she uses that word a lot and saying that if you don't have any intimacy, you don't have a relationship. So because I want to be intimate with you, not just physically, but just emotionally as well, I will ask those questions. And I remember when before Doja and I got married and we were in premarital counseling, and he was just so wise. He was like, listen, I've been married for a number of years, and this is one thing I need you to understand. He was like, if you are worrying about the things that she needs, and she is worrying about the things that you need, you guys will do well. But once you stop worrying about that and only worried about your needs and vice versa, the communication stop, the intimacy stop. So when you
And the
say, hey, babe,
resentment
you know,
happens.
yeah, what's going on or whatever. So we just want to, and we'll add this to the dear future daughter-in-law, because all that kind of merges
Yeah.
together. You have to be able to step aside sometime and go, well, what you need? Talk to me.
Well, and I think we have work, we have family, we have our friends, so the focus can get dropped sometimes because we're all in everybody else's business and trying to do stuff.
And even on top of that, what's even crazier is
You have to
how
shut everybody
relationship is, you know, definitely you're the opposite, because generally the person who you're attracted to are those things that you don't have, and you're like, wow, and vice versa. So one is always more outgoing. You know, one's more reserved and responsible, one more wild out and irresponsible.
One is a
and it's always,
spender,
right,
and one is not.
And it flip-flops. It's not always the woman. Sometimes, you know.
I would have to be with a spender because I'm not a spender.
Right.
So I mean,
Somebody
honestly,
who- yeah,
because
seriously.
I'm not. I watch all the
Right,
movies.
right. And so that already causes something. So the enemy will get in the middle of that and see y'all differences and try to pit them against you. And so then if you're worrying about, hey, babe, look, we got to slow down on the spending because blah, 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 or vice versa, hey, babe, you need to get more hugs or whatever. Whatever the situation is, like
Yes.
just communicating and understanding that you need to, like you just said, focus on the other person and what,
Just
you know,
remember
their
to stay
relationship.
focused on each other because so much is going on, even with politics and what's going at the border. You got to stop and shut everybody out.
All right.
And give your partner what they need.
Hey, black child.
No, child. Oh, that
You
was
can do what you want to
Oh,
do.
go
Be
girl.
who you want to be. Hey, black child. Well, I, been on this pursuit to read 15 books before the end of the year, and here's my deal. I'm sorry. I'm reading right now Ta-Nehisi Coates, and I know I probably said his name wrong. The World Between Us. He talked about racecraft, and so of course every time I hear about something, I always go and Google it and try to figure out what it was. Well, there's a book called Racecraft, and it's the soul of inequalities in American life. I mean, Keisha was just talking about it a second ago. It's almost like witchcraft, how people take witchcraft as something that's dark and scary and will do these type of things. I feel like that's the same way America is looking at black people.
Well,
as somebody who's scary and somebody who will do something harm. I mean, like in this whole negative thing, you know?
That's been the narrative. That's why we say the media's played into it. I was reading where one of my Facebook friends / cousin had put that black on black crime. We got to stop with the black on black crime. The problem is that's what they told you. White people have white on white crime. Indian people have Indian on Indian crime.
Right.
But they've only instilled in us the black on black crime.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is with racecraft is most of the racist people in the world have never came in contact with a Muslim, an
Right.
Indian, a Native American, a Mexican.
Right.
They've never had come in contact with a black person.
Right. And when you
it's
think
like,
about the inequality, so
they
it's like
believe
here's
what they hear.
Right. Here's the American life. Here's all these different races and cultures, but we make up the word black and white. We're the only nation that does that. When black
Yes.
people are not technically black, I mean, our skin color, whatever, and white people, you're German, you're African, you're this, you're that, all this type of stuff that come together. Instead of us respecting that culture with each other, we've taken these inequalities and now made it something that's dirty or negative.
We
or,
didn't do it.
well, yes, exactly. You're right.
It's been an agenda from
All right.
day one.
Okay, talk to us. So we might come back to that later because I think we probably need to deal with that a little bit more. Okay, with the
we gonna
finance
come back
piece,
to
what's
line.
up?
We still talking about taxes. I think for America that most of us hate the word taxes, and I kind of, since I am a penny pincher, I kind of want to know more what's going on. So I would, and I'm an accountant, so that kills that. But what I'm saying is, I am asking everyone, sit down and figure out your taxes. Sit down and figure out what's going on. And I try to tell people, you take your old taxes, look at what you did, and what can you do different. Can you go back and do another W-9 and ask them to take out more taxes or take out less? You can figure out what you need. I get no income taxes taken out because I know that I don't have to pay in. I'm not looking for a refund. But you decide what works for you and your family. So I am telling you is to make it a priority.
Right.
Make your
get
taxes
educated
your
on
priority.
get educated on your finances, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. So in education, we're going to talk about words to the wise, and I just want everybody to start increasing their vocabulary. Like when you read something, because the more I've been reading these books, there's more words I've been looking up that I was kind of familiar with but didn't know, or just words I did not know. So this week I want to talk about the word feckless, F-E-C-K-L-E-S-S, and it means lacking initiative or strength of character. And so I think that our society as a whole, when it comes down to your initiative to do something, stop being feckless. When you think about our children and the fact that they're in these schools and they're not understanding their potential, stop being feckless. When we talk about our politicians and the fact that they're sitting around here and allowing things to happen to them, stop being feckless. So use that word, speak up on it, talk about it, because one thing about educated people, they know, they get knowledge, they gain knowledge. So read more, but I'm going to bring you some words, and so the word of the week, guys, is
Feckless.
all right.
All right.
I'll say it again, lacking initiative or strength of character. So we got time for that. We got a few seconds for that one. What's the first one on that, Key?
Using technology
Girl,
as a
ain't
form
nobody
of
got time
domestic
for that.
abuse. And when we say technology, what we talking about, Keisha?
We're talking about people who are changing the temperature in the house. Like you say you're home, you're a stay-at-home mom or something, and you and your husband are beefing. He's changing the temperature. He's turning the lights on and off. He's locking the doors and locking you in every time you're trying to get out, denying you access to certain areas. Like, come on, so you're going to use technology now to I mean, come on.
To be abusive.
Ain't nobody got time for
Ain't
that.
nobody got time for that.
All right, and then what about this girl, this ex-girlfriend? She said, I had to go get my kid. And I told him, they were arguing about who was going to take the car, their exes, and she needed to go pick up the baby. He didn't get out her way. She told him to get off the car and move out the way. He did. So she drove for 15 miles down the expressway with his butt hanging on, and he called the police, and the police was like, well, what's your location? And he's like, I don't even know where I am, baby. She was driving at 70 miles an hour trying to go get her kid. So
hey, how you feel? You a baby? You got a baby, honey? I would
you
do
driving,
the same.
you rolling out, baby, get out the way. Ain't nobody got time for you.
I'm going to get my baby. You better watch out.
All right, well, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of City Keisha and Country Keisha from the outhouse
To the
penthouse.
penthouse.
We out.
We out.